Hey there. I got a question for you. What could be more universal than the pursuit of happiness? Do you know anyone that opens their eyes in the morning and thinks, I hope this is the most miserable freaking day ever? I don't. Everyone is striving in their own way to experience more happiness and less misery. There are a variety of ways that we attempt to accomplish this, okay? Some people use money. Some people use career success. Some people use fitness. Some people use their social life. Some people accumulate possessions. It might be spending time camping or fishing, volunteering, all the stuff. But I want you to make no mistake about it. Everyone is striving to be happy, even miserable people. Some people believe that they'll be happier if they amass $1 billion fortune, right? Others believe they'll achieve happiness by sacrificing every dollar in their bank account for the needy. Sounds noble. There's no way to achieve happiness. There's, right? There's no one way to do it. Your pursuit of happiness is entirely dependent on your values and your interpretation of the world. See, all of us instinctively move from pain towards relief. Humans have all the capability to form complex like thoughts and lead them all over the place. That's why we observe such a wide variety of approaches to chasing happiness. Some of those places make sense, while others are more than just a little bit weird. So I want you to compare this whole situation to your dog. Your dog just wants to like a warm place to sleep and some companionship and some playtime and to be fed, right? Well, humans, if you look in the mirror, are a lot more complex. Your dog is always happy to see you, even if you haven't been particularly nice to him or her, right? Think about it. Your dog loves to see you even after you've been mean to them. It's that just because he's a dumb dog, or is it because he has a happier philosophy on life? Great question, right? I was watching this video about the Buddhist. The Buddhists believe that happiness is a natural state. It's merely the emotional state that exists when nothing negative is going on in their world. In other words, if all of your real challenges were resolved, you'd be happy by default. Okay? What's your thoughts on that? In other parts of the world, happiness is often tied to accomplishments, financial and career accomplishments, right? Those are the ones that usually top the list. Yet many of the most successful people by these measures are freaking miserable, unhappy souls. Some of them to the point where they kill themselves. How about that? So what does it take to be happy? That's what I was watching these videos on that and it got me to thinking. I wrote that down. What does it take to be happy? Does it take a mansion on the beach to be happy? Maybe. Or could a person be really happy living in a cardboard box? Maybe. I've seen it. Is a spouse required for happiness or freedom from having a spouse? Maybe. Kids. Maybe the freedom of not having kids. You had them, and the idea of having them was better than actually having them in some instances. Maybe. All kinds of stuff. Stunning career, giving to others, climbing mountains, being super famous. What does it take? I want you to take the time to answer this important question while you're driving down the road or listening while you're cleaning, whatever you're doing. What matters for your happiness? Give yourself time to find an answer that resonates with you. Imagine that you were free from the expectations and opinions of others. What would it take to make you happy? Okay. Well, we could talk about the ego and happiness. The ego is a great tool for success and accomplishment, but it's a freaking lousy roadmap for happiness. Satisfying the ego is a primary reason why we have such amazing technology, architecture, billionaires, great musicians and all the other people in the world that have accomplished amazing things. Ego is a critical part of great accomplishments. But will accomplishments make you happy? So, right? Well, without the need to impress mom and dad or impress the neighbors or prove everyone it can be done, prove to themselves that they're important, impress members of the opposite sex, be first or be the best, there would be a lot less accomplished in the world. Think about it. Without any ego based motivation, your life would be dramatically different. I promise. Arguably, you would probably accomplish fewer things that the average person considers impressive, but arguably you would be a lot happier too. The trouble with ego based motivation is that you eventually realize that no one cares for so long or for long at all, right? Everybody wants to be around you. Everybody tells you you're great. Everybody loves you. Everybody wants to spend time with you. Then when you go away for a bit, nobody cares. Few people may be impressed with your skills, but the thrill of impressing them doesn't last. And some people think negatively about you because of your accomplishments. You can't win, right? They're called haters. Even if you're only trying to impress yourself, it's a hollow victory, I promise. Now you have to do even more the next time to earn your own respect. That isn't a recipe for happiness. It's a recipe for freaking suffering, is what that is. So keep your ego under control. Your ego is a significant barrier to happiness. You've been growing and shaping your ego for many years, I promise. And it's not going to go quietly. Everyone has an ego to some degree. Everyone. If you can put yours on a shorter leash, you'll discover the happiness is easier to find. There's a lot of common signs of an overactive ego, okay? Self criticism. If your ego is overactive, you're hard on yourself. You avoid taking risks because you fear being judged by others. And interestingly, if you're worried about what others think, you probably spend too much time judging others and imagining how everyone else could be better at what they do. Think about it. I guarantee you know somebody like that. Next, judging. Do you judge others? That's another sign that your ego is probably on autopilot. And you ask, well, how do you know? Because you believe that things, people, and situations should be a certain way. Anything other than your perceived right way, okay, is offensive to you on some level. 3, what about impatience? Impatience is another form of judging. You believe that something should take less time than it actually does. Complaining. Complaining is also judging. The situation isn't the way you think it should be, so you complain about it. How about arguing? I get that one a lot. As a coach, I get this one a lot. The other person is wrong. You're right, and you're going to prove it to them. Arguing is another version of judging. I get people that I try to help all the time that just open their mouth and want to argue with me over and over and over again. So I want you to ask yourself, how many of these signs of an overactive ego do you see in yourself? Tame your ego and create the possibility for happiness to enter your life. Maybe you can avoid comparisons. Comparing yourself to others is a dangerous game and one that you'll always lose. 100%. We often compare our weaknesses to others' strengths. We compare our insides to others' outsides. That's a death sentence, right? We often compare our weaknesses to others' strengths. Then we discount our own strengths. So, with so many people in the world, there will always be those that are better and those that are worse. So, count your blessings, okay? Pay some attention to what you already have. Avoid spending too much time focused on the things that you lack. The things that you're comparing may not matter anyway. Does the attractiveness of your neighbor's spouse matter? Does it matter that someone has a nicer car than you do? So somebody's, on vacation more often than you are. You got to ask yourself, what would you do if no one would ever know about it? Would you buy a Mercedes for your next car if no one ever knew you owned it or saw you drive it? Would you still want to climb the largest mountain in the world if you keep your success of climbing to the summit a total secret from everybody? See, this can be an effective way to measure your true motivations when you're ready to do something. Are you primarily motivated by doing it for others, or do you have more noble purpose for doing it yourself? Think about it. Avoid taking criticism or compliments personally. There's a good one. Plenty of people are fools, I promise. Consequently, their compliment should be taken shouldn't really be taken any more serious than their criticisms. Even if you receive a legitimate compliment about your artistic or athletic ability, it doesn't say anything about you as a person. You could be a giant a-hole and be really good at golf. Compliments and criticism are often about your looks, dress, behavior, decisions, accomplishments, or lack thereof. But none of those define you, do they? See, you got to give up the need to be right also. It is important for someone to agree with you, right? If you have a huge ego, it's important for someone to agree with you. Do you have to prove to yourself to be correct and other person to be wrong? That's just your ego playing catch and fetch in your head. You'll save a lot of pain and grief by speaking less and allowing others to have their own opinions. Then you got to help others. Get away from your ego by doing something for someone else. Volunteer. Volunteer your time to an organization or an individual that needs your assistance. And don't tell nobody about it. No fanfare, no Facebook, no Twitter, no Instagram, no TikTok. Just go help somebody incognito. I dare you. Minimizing the impact your ego has on your life will be one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do, honestly. It will also be one of the most rewarding. Your ego creates more turmoil and dissatisfaction in your life than you realize. You don't need to live in a temple in the east of Asia to tame your ego, but you do need to be persistent and patient because it doesn't happen overnight. See, there's always going to be obstacles to happiness. A lack of resources, that's one. You're not happy because you don't have a shiny new Porsche. You may ever, however, be unhappy because you don't have a reliable transportation to get to and from work. Same goes for not having enough food or water or clothing or love. If you lack the necessary for survival, you have a good reason to be unhappy. But that unhappiness serves as a purpose. It can motivate you to do something about it and to acquire the resources to make you happy. Not me giving them to you, you going out and making something happen to make those resources appear. See, distractions are huge. Distractions can be a big challenge. They make you feel better in the short term, but offer no long-term benefits, I promise. You're not curing the cause of your discomfort, you're hiding from it. So what are they? When I was writing this down, my son was asking me, well, what are the distractions? Well, they could be food, social media, drugs, TV, electronics, shopping, sleeping, gossiping, and anything else that doesn't address the root cause. So fear could be that also. Fear is a big one. Emotion is a significant barrier to that, what people call happiness. Fear is a sign that your mind believes something is wrong. Okay. This kind of unrest blocks the ability of happiness. It's important to address issues that cause feelings of fear and resolve. There's no room for happiness where fear resides. That neighborhood's full, which then you have to measure it. So it's a lack of progress. Okay. When your life isn't going well, lack of progress can be disheartening. It gives the impression that the current situation may last for the rest of your life. Focus on making small changes and get excited about even the smallest amount of progress. One step. Okay. A lack of social content. There's one. As much as we might like to think of ourselves as individuals, we're all social animals. We need others. Some of us need more time with people than others, but we all require human contact. Look how freaking messed up everybody is after the pandemic. It's freaking ridiculous. Too much thinking. Some thinking is useful, absolutely, such as learning from your mistakes or making plans for the future. Most thinking is not, such as daydreaming about how you'd like to run over your boss with your car, or reliving your arguments, or grieving over choices made 10 years ago, or dreading a future that isn't even guaranteed. You're just worried about it. See, thinking can be addictive. We think because we either believe it's helpful in some way or we find it entertaining. We fantasize about owning a jet, okay? Throwing a winning touchdown pass or spending time with your movie star girlfriend. And we relive our childhood dramas and traumatic experiences, trying to make sense or imagining it how it could have ended differently. Spend more time doing and less time thinking. Action creates results. Not a plan, not a dream, not a hope. Action. See, a lack of purpose or meaning, you don't really have to have a reason for getting out of bed each morning in order to be happy, but it certainly helps. When you feel that your time, effort, and contribution to the world lacks value, you'll find that happiness is going to be elusive. Negativity. God, I hate it. Negative beliefs lead to negative thoughts. Plain and simple. I think in the Keller Williams world, they call it what you focus on expands. Negative thoughts result in negative feelings. How you see the world influences how you experience the world. Plain and simple.
You've been listening to the Productive, Not Busy podcast. Please hit the subscribe and notification of new episodes button and visit us on social media like Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok for bonus content.